this event. They have, in fact, already donated, I believe, just shy of $40,000. That number up there would be $40,000 less had it not been for all of the shirts we have sold, which is absurd. That is a lot of shirts. So thank you to everybody who bought a shirt.
James, if I may. So I am very excited to reintroduce a good friend of Desert Bus. So Jagasilk has been our tea sponsor, going on not in the room for confirmation, I'm going to say going on 4 years now.
I think it's like 60.
60
years?
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 times the history of Desert Bus.
Yeah.
Jagasilk has been around keeping us going, and this will be 3 years in a row that Jared has actually come in and done a matcha presentation. So I'm very excited about that. Jared has also brought a helper today to make it as easy as possible. It's also called the helper Jared. So there'll be Big Jared and Little Jared. And because Jagasilk constantly wants to outdo themselves, they've actually introduced another step into the entire matcha presentation they do every year. So I'm really excited about this. And anyways, let us introduce Little Jared and Big Jared as they come in, and we get to have ourselves a very exciting tea thing this morning. Hi Jared, welcome.
Hello.
You got that?
Morning, Jared.
This only weighs about 50 kilos, so don't mind that.
I'm very excited for this.
Ignore my
my
ignorance, but there's a character off of MS3, whatever, that looks like what's that character's name? Because that thing looks like that character.
Tom Servo?
Fantastic.
I guess
The
so.
gumball machine?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah. Tom
Ju-
Servo.
Okay, cool. So other people are seeing that, right? I'm not just.
Yeah, Tom Servo is the third member of Jagasilk today. We have Jared, and Tom Servo.
If you haven't named this machine, might I suggest Tom?
Tom sounds like a good name.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as a Tencha mill. It's,
that
Jared,
sounds much more real.
Well, I'll wait for you to bring everything out, and then once you're done, if you'd like to introduce yourself and explain sort of what we're going to be seeing today, that'd be really cool.
definitely, yeah.
This is a very, very involved presentation today. I'm very excited.
We are as excited to hear about what this apparatus is as you are. So it's okay. I'm sure they will explain all of it to us really, really soon.
Yes. Well, so you got it? Goodness.
Is that the power supply?
That is the power supply. That's the heaviest power
search.
supply I've lifted. Is this going to
Okay.
brown out the building? Like, are we concerned it's going to draw a whole bunch of amps and just bring down the bus?
How much power is this going to take? And engineering, when you get a second, can I turn on the performance mic? I got the okay. All right, we're gonna hand this here.
I got this guy for you.
Okay.
Oops, I turned it off. It's been on this whole time.
Ooh. Dale was
Very
here.
interesting. Oh, it's on mute. So little Jared, when you're done, what I'm gonna ask you to do is kind of hover this near large Jared's face. But
Sure.
I'll wait until that's done. And then basically anytime he talks down, if he talks up, the room mics are gonna pick it up, but when he's down and he's in his place, this will be your job.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
Hold on to it for now. Okay.
So what are we looking at? This is really quite something here.
It's been quite the it's been quite the process to get this to get this in general into the country. We brought this in from a company that's been making matcha or tencha mills for over 40 years. This is called a bisaiki, is the name of the unit. We have to plug it into it's called a bump transformer, a buck transformer, and it is going to change it so that the Japanese power supply that's going to go and power this motor isn't going to get destroyed by the Canadian power system. So that's protecting the mill.
And so what is it? You said matcha mill a couple times.
Yeah, so matcha is the finished product.
Okay.
Tencha is sort of an in-between product. It's how it's stored before it's milled. So what you do when you're making matcha, or as a farmer, you bring the raw tea to the tea factory. There's a special factory specifically for matcha called the Tencha Koba. Sorry. And they take the leaves, they dry them flat, they put through a machine that deveins and destems each individual leaf, and you're left with this you're left with the pure part of the leaf, which used to be done by hand, if you can believe it, the separation of the veins and the stems. And then at that point, after it goes through a fairly involved drying process, you're left with a product called tencha. So, just put that there. Thanks, sir.
So your matcha presentation this morning is actually going to include an additional step. You're starting with tea. You're going to mill the tea into matcha for us, and then we're going to have quite possibly the freshest matcha we've ever had in our life.
100%, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I have a question as well, though. Is this a loud process?
I checked ahead of time. It won't blow out the room mics.
No, I just wanted to know for the sake of everyone who's wondering, like, are they gonna have to take out their headphones or not? But.
So we have another friend who actually wants to come in and say hello and maybe join us for our tea presentation. Have you said hi yet this year?
No, I haven't.
We have a new visitor. Hi, Pika. Welcome.
Pika?
I actually just brought in a matcha tea latte.
Really? Oh no! I didn't give you the heads up.
There you go. Yeah, we got you covered.
Oh, fantastic. Could somebody pass this to little Jared? And I'm not being rude. They are legitimately both named Jared. It's not.
Well, when we both started working at Jagasilk, we had different names. It's like a Monty Python skit, where you join the company and you have to change your name.
Okay. Oh, okay. So he started with something different, but then earned the title of Jared.
That's right.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome, Pika. Okay, so we've added the tea to the top.
We have added the tea to the top. Can you plug in the water supply? Just make sure it's all connected. Ooh. There we go.
That was a good ooh.
And that was a good ooh? Yeah. Mildly frightening, right?
And what was the process involved to bring a matcha mill into Canada? How many matcha mills are there in Canada?
I'm aware of one other. I'm sure there's more.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That's going to make a lot of noise for everybody listening. But yeah, I'm aware of one other. They're on the East Coast. There's one in England that I'm aware of. A company called Postcard Teas.
Yeah.
And then we also brought this in with a friend of ours over in Vancouver. So he got his own unit as well.
Okay.
He owns O5T.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
one of
pretty fun. 3
in Canada, one of
That
4 you know
we're
of
aware
outside
of.
of Japan.
Yeah, and in terms of actually having it set up at the bar so that we can mill to order,
Yeah.
I believe we're the only ones I'm aware of.
Wow.
So we actually have it set up where we just posted on our Instagram this pretty rad video of just the inaugural milling to serve. It was pretty rad.
Well, yeah, cool. Let's see how this looks like. So you put it in the top. We need some kind of vessel to catch it at the end, I'm assuming.
That's right. So we're going to put this guy scale. We're actually going to mill it right into the bowl.
Is now in bringing this in, was there just a process of need to work out shipping, need to work out getting it from Japan in the first place? Like, did you have to go through some sort of is it okay if we have this? Did they have to
That was a huge part of it. Yeah. So we
you don't just give to anybody and be like, I just want to mill some tea.
We brought in a number of different mills, thinking, okay, we watched some promo videos, and we were like, okay, you sent in some tencha to get milled and got some samples back. But every time we bring in the samples of this new mill that we were excited about, it would never have the right texture. Because to qualify as matcha, you can't just take green tea and mill it into a powder. You need to shade grow it. You need to harvest it during a specific time of year when the volatile oils have had enough time to really focus themselves into the tips of the plant. Generally, this is the first flush. It's picked at end of May, early June, depending on the region. And then they're going to harvest that. They'll continue that focus of volatile oils before they harvest it, by shade growing it. So shade growing is an important part of the process. And then from there, they're going to devein, destem, dry flat. So it's a fairly involved process. Other green teas don't go through this involved of a process. They'll go through their own involved process, but not in the same way. So very specific steps to make a matcha, right? And then from the tencha stage, we're milling it into a fine powder. It needs to be 10 microns or less. So if you think about a micron is 1/1000th of a millimeter. This is really, really fine. It's the texture of talcum powder, and it rubs right into your skin. It's, yeah. And you can actually use this as a topical ointment.
That's really
matcha can just rub right into your skin, really good for your skin.
All right, pardon
Yeah.
me for 1 second. Beach, stretch for time. I'm going to give Big Jared here, lapel mic, so that little Jared doesn't
Cool.
have to.
All right.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna ask a couple more questions about, because it's like the looking at this apparatus though. Is it a sense of that's like you obviously you said you evaluated some different mills to see if you could find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest part of the process was determining what was the mill that we want to buy, and then you went to the
Right.
manufacturer and they were like, yeah, we have no problem with you buying this, or did they like, well, we want to know that you know how to use it properly?
They were just like, are you? We had somebody buy a unit, they said, in Canada, and it got blocked at the border and sent back.
No kidding.
Yeah. So for us, it was about a lot of it was just explaining to them that we got this covered, and how we did it is we talked to the CSA certifiers. We went through a fairly involved process of getting an electrician in, converting transistors to CSA parts, doing this whole thing, and at the very end of the day, this has been 3 years of saving up. This is probably the most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life.
And then you just brought it here.
But yeah, I know. I really wanted everybody to see this, so it's a really cool thing. So, but yeah, that process of CSA approval and getting the Canadian
Standards Authority.
We have a little sticker, a very expensive sticker.
Oh, they'd
the
have
front
to
of the
lab
unit.
test this, wouldn't they?
They actually had to put a wrench in it to make sure that the machine, if there was a wrench dropped in, it wouldn't blow up.
So they dropped a wrench in it.
They literally put a wrench
Right
in
into
it
the
and
burrs,
stopped,
I hope.
and stopped. Not into the burrs,
Okay.
or the teeth, or whatever we call
Is it a
them.
wrench every time?
It's pretty. Yeah, I know. It was very cliche. But
Well, let's fire this up. Let's see how it goes.
So we're gonna go.
So this is the first time firing up. We've been told it's not too loud,
Sorry, I need
but
to.
let's watch those levels just in case.
Need to set the grind.
I'm just gonna touch you.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely start with like zero volume and just bring it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's probably the safest thing to do. I mean, as far as engineering is concerned, you guys do what you need to do.
I don't want to blow any amps here.
So does this thing have an adjustable grind setting like an espresso machine, or is this thing fixed? You program it once and you walk away because is like all matcha ground evenly, or do you want to have the ability to fine tune it?
Well, that's what's really exciting is we get to answer that question over time.
Ooh, okay.
Because like up until now, this is done in a factory. This
Yeah.
isn't done at the before service moment.
Sure.
Right? It's milled, and we've been really proud of the fact that our matcha is milled monthly, and we put the date stamp on the package for when it was milled. This is milled today. I'm actually one of the things that we're going to include in the auction gift is matcha we mill right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. Okay, so that's
really
set
cool.
to 3.5. Okay, we're good to go. So JV, I'm going to need you to
Engage the tea machine.
engage the tea machine. That's right. Wait 1 sec. Turning on the scale. And we're good to go. Put the water on.
Yeah,
See it
Beach,
coming
you
out
can see
now?
the chute on this side.
Yeah.
I am busy doing something else, sir. But yeah, I will also occupy myself with checking that
Let's
out
not
too.
crash the bus.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's really neat.
So you can stop it. Excellent.
That
Okay.
was so sci-fi.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so
My ears are content. That wasn't loud at
I
all.
can even smell it. Wow.
the scale decided not to work.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Begin the transfer.
I know. So we're just gonna pour it in.
How close were we?
How close were we? We eyeballed 2 grams. We got 1.3. A little bit more. There we go. Scale's working now.
Hooray!
Hooray. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, going to make some matcha. Oh, we don't have this plugged in. That's true. This plugged in too.
So while we wait for the water to heat up, what are typically the steps here? What are we looking for?
What we're looking for is we want to have a good ratio of tea to water.
Okay.
Our recommendation, and this obviously can change depending on preference, is 2.0 grams for every 90 grams of 65 degree centigrade water.
You're even controlling the temperature of the water, eh?
The temperature of the water is really important. Green teas in general have not allowed. There's a PPO enzyme that browns the leaf.
Okay.
And that's what's going to take a Camellia sinensis leaf, and instead of making green tea, you'd make an oolong or a crimson tea or black tea, right? And when they're making green teas, they want to do the process called kill green really fast and keep it really vibrantly green. What this does, though, is it means that hotter temperatures are going to draw out a bunch of the tannin that's still left in the leaf when you burn it with too hot of water. So dropping that temperature down for green teas, especially the more delicate green teas, is going to make a big difference.
Cool.
So,
very cool.
Yeah, just making sure that you work with around 70 degrees as your top temperature is a pretty good idea. I think that what we've done is we've adjusted temperatures depending on the region that we're buying from as well. We found that matcha that comes from Kyoto, for example, is going to be steamed a little bit lighter than other green teas, so other matchas from Japan. They want to protect the aromatics.
Oh, cool.
Whereas if you go down to the southern island of Kyushu, they're going to go more like what they call chumushi, or medium steamed. And that's going to actually be more forgiving with slightly hotter water temperatures. So 70 degrees centigrade will be fine for a matcha selection that's sourced from Fukuoka, but it's going to be too hot for something from Kyoto.
If you were to take tencha,
Yeah.
and you were to just brew that, could you just turn that into just nice green tea on its own?
You could.
Would it be an awful waste, wouldn't it?
Well, it also, you need a lot to get flavor, and it just 2 grams of milled tea is enough for a very potent beverage. But to make your tencha taste decent, you're going to use 1 to 2 grams per 30 mils. So it's quite a lot more.
Oh, per 30 mils. Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
whereas we're using 2 grams per 90 mils here, and that's really strong.
Right.
The 1 to 2 grams per 30 mils is still quite weak, but it gives you some sense of the flavor.
So you know, almost like 3 or 4 times as much to get to a good tasting cup.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times, if not 5 times. Yeah. So, but you need to do that when you're cupping. Every year there's auctions. The farmers are bringing their teas to what they call a no-kyo or a co-op, and at the co-op they're going to be.
If I may, cupping is an industry term for tasting a number of different things side by side.
Exactly.
So if you're cupping a lot, you'd have often 2 or 3 samples of the same beverage, and then a whole range of different ones, and that's how you evaluate if you want to order it. The reason you have multiples of the same is to see if there's any variance, any defects, or if there's a wide range of flavors offered to the same thing. You want consistency.
Yeah.
And that's one way to test for it, is to try the same thing prepared in the same manner side by side.
And this is why I enjoy that process at home too. Is if I'm going to have a matcha, I want to taste if what I'm drinking is the difference in the matcha or the difference in. I don't want to think to myself, is this the difference in my technique? So weighing my tea, weighing my water, controlling my water temperature, they bring out positive attributes from the matcha, but they also make for a consistent preparation process, so I can actually taste the different matchas, especially when we're drinking different cultivars. Cultivars are really fascinating for us these days, and it's cultivated varieties is what cultivars mean, and it's like the difference between a Granny Smith or a Red Delicious. Right now I have a Yabukita. It's a Japanese cultivar that's fairly widely grown, and I also have Okumidori on our website, Yamakai, etc.
So our matcha is ready, our water is ready.
Water's ready.
Jared,
Good to
are
go.
you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
So what are the steps we're going through here? We've milled the matcha, we have the matcha weighed, you're ready to weigh the water, and then what do we do after that?
So I'm ready to weigh the water, and then I'm going to whisk using a chasen, or a bamboo whisk. This has been hand cut by a certified living treasure named Masaki Kubo. He cuts
so
chasen for NHK television. His whisks are on display at the Louvre in Paris, and yeah, he's pretty badass. And I'm going to put 90 grams of water on. Just smells so good. When it's fresh milled, it's just crazy. It's another world for us. And then I'm going to whisk for 15 seconds.
Is there a visual indicator or like a textile indicator of as it's getting ready, or is this just something from experience?
A combination of both. there's different techniques. So whether or not you want to draw out a creamy froth is really a question of the discipline that you're studying. We're inspired by a discipline called Urasenke. We're not practicing it, but we're inspired by it. And it encourages a nice creamy froth on the top of your traditional matcha. And so we've worked with some teachers to establish some parameters that we feel are going to taste good. But yeah, we are not. I want to very clearly state this is not tea ceremony that I am doing right now.
Yeah.
This is a way of making tea for enjoying it carefully at home. But I encourage everybody to check out the Japanese tea ceremony. Who am I giving this to?
Beej,
Yes, please.
as the driver, would you like to have the first one?
Oh man, why would you slow me down?
Don't stop, Beej, now.
Okay, there you are. So, when you pick it up, they encourage you to take off any rings that are on your hand, and then you would pick up the bowl, and in tea ceremony you would like comment on the bowl and all this stuff. You don't need to take off.
Do you want
Because it's not coming off.
Do you want to tell us about your bowls? Because these look special. These aren't regular bowls, are they?
No, yeah, matcha jawan as they're called. Chawan is the Japanese word for bowl, tea bowl. I encourage you to drink it right away while
Thank
I'm
you,
talking.
yes.
It's gonna fall and not be as beautiful. 3 savored gulps is the recommendation. That's super creamy, rich, and awesome.
Oh my.
And so that's been made by a fellow in Gifu. This bowl here is made by a fellow in Narbonne, France, who trained under a Japanese potter. This is a glass bowl that was hand blown in Gifu as well by a glass blowing factory that we work with in Japan.
I haven't seen a lot of glass bowls for matcha.
Yeah, I know.
Is that new?
It's
or?
a new thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. You can't put boiling water into it, is their recommendation.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Especially when it's really
Like
cold.
quick changing temperature.
Yeah, but I mean, with matcha, you're using ideally 60, 70 degrees centigrade. You're going to be okay.
How you doing there,
Rest
Beej?
out. I'm a little
Good.
disappointed in myself that I
Yeah.
can't get the rest out.
You know, they do a big. Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you have any site volunteers? Maybe somebody could come up and help with this extra bowl we have. Would you trust somebody else to come and give that a quick rinse? Because I notice you don't have enough bowls for everybody.
I don't have enough bowls for everybody. Yes,
But
no, that would
if
be
we-
fantastic.
Or maybe little Jared?
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you are, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll make another one.
Oh wait, or do you need little Jared to help operate the mill?
Yeah, I do. he's my mill operator.
That was very lovely.
Was it good?
Yes, it was very good.
Beej, tell me about your experience. What did you feel? What did you taste?
So this is different than last year, in that there's a very because I've had 4 mugs of orange pico, red rose, over tannins with milk and sugar, just how it is.
Today
right?
we have really nice tea supplied by Jagasilk.
I know,
this year.
right? It was just kind of just get me tea, I'm okay. I didn't even think that, oh right, we have all that, but I'm gonna have some other stuff. It's it's gonna sound weird, it's like drinking a lawn, because it's very grassy, it's very there's all these bright flavors going on in your mouth. But then after it's gone, drawing air over my teeth and over my tongue, there's all this flavor left that's just still just rebounding around in my mouth, and it's really bright, and it's green, and it's refreshing, and it's almost sweet in a way.
Yep.
I can really my tongue is just oh, here's all these things you haven't been using in a while. I'm yeah, this is and it was
Thank you, Colin.
frothy and creamy, even more than I remember last year. All that, there was so much going on in that bowl. Because I drink this once a year, it seems now. But yeah, it's remarkable if you've never had it before. It's definitely worth trying something this well made. I can definitely tell there's care that goes into it.
Oh, we do try, yeah, for sure. No, it's this is actually also grown by a wonderful farmer named Mr. Fujioka. His family's been growing tea for over 200 years. And I know, and that's just
That's so cool.
in the written record. They say much longer than that. They just don't have a written record. And
so you have a personal relationship with the farmer?
yeah, we visit the farms that we work with personally. We try to go every year if we can. Sometimes we do go twice a year, but yeah, no, Fujioka is a hilarious fellow. He only wholesales to us. He also sells to the co-op, and he sells directly to the end customer at kind of like a farm table at like a high-end supermarket in Japan called Takashimaya.
If you're
And
if you're like familiar with, people are like, oh well, like what is this like? And I'm like, well, it's not bitter.
No.
Like a lot of people associate like teas and stuff, even though there's a slight bitterness to it. It's like that's not there the way you expect it to be. Like it's just such a tiny part of the flavor profile that you're not really getting that you would get off of like coffee or something else. Because I think of Serge being like, Beej, I got to take you on like my third wave coffee tour, and it's like, Serge, I don't like coffee. But because I'm used to that, you know, like I know coffee's a bitter thing. This was just very different than drinking tea.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of what we found has made a major difference is this fresh milling process has really helped to harness the umami that's present. This really rich kind of brothy element that just makes it that much more creamy, more proteiny, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna mill another one here.
Yeah.
You wanna go? Turn it on?
And then so we'll probably do one, maybe two more, and then if other people want some more, I don't know if Jared and Jared want to hang out for a bit. And then what we can do is we can actually introduce the prize lot that you've donated.
Awesome.
Which would be very exciting. And then while everybody's thinking about matcha, we can tell them about how they too can get some matcha at home.
For sure.
Which would be very exciting. So again, going through all the steps, you've measured the matcha, you're measuring the water. Your water is temperature controlled. Oh, I love it.
Don't know how much of this is placebo effect or not, but because I do remember it being suggested, it's like, remember, when you drink this, you're going to feel your tiredness kind of bounce away, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's just the excitement of getting to try it or not, but I do actually feel a lot more refreshed.
Well, tell us about the difference between matcha and, say, coffee in terms of energy and caffeine and all those things.
Yeah, you know, one of the reasons why we're here at this hour is we want to be a support for you guys coming out of your insanity.
Yeah, thank you.
So Beej has currently been in this chair for 10 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, so you know that is amazing, and what you guys do is incredible. But what this does is it helps to enhance your mind. The L-theanine that's in it is really good for mental clarity, helps with memory retention. The L-theanine also counteracts the effects of the stimulant that's in it, the caffeine. Counteract in some studies, slows down the release in others. There's a variety of opinions out there and studies out there, but what we can say is that it reacts differently in your body than the caffeine does than coffee does. One of the things that we've noticed more anecdotally is a really kind of smooth fatigue relief that lasts about 6 hours. We work with some Olympic gold medalists.
Really?
Yeah, fastest runner in Canada for his age group is one of our clients, and these people are telling us that the freshness makes a big difference for how the matcha works in their system.
Like, is it a recovery bounce back kind of thing?
Yeah, and also for aiding in performance. So they'll actually drink it about an hour before they go out, and then they're going to be a lot more awake, right?
Kind of doping a little bit.
Matcha doping. You heard it here first, folks.
That's right. I don't think they test for it though.
I feel like
we're going to be okay.
Too, right?
What's this?
It speeds metabolism too.
It does. It speeds up your metabolism. I don't like to focus on the diet element so much because there's just so much weird, you know, like it. But
there can be a lot of woo. Yeah.
Yeah. There is that element to it.
Fatigue relief probably sounds pretty good to a lot of us right now.
Yeah, right. Like,
I feel like
what I'm feeling, and antioxidants. So it's one of the only. Well, it's one of few that the American FDA lets you put on the label helps prevent cancer because of the significant amount of antioxidants that are in it.
This is definitely like a. I feel like I'm cheating. All you guys had to stay up all night and had to like rely on your coffee first thing in the morning to try to get some. And I'm like, nope, I've been cheating this entire time.
So I know.
The smell made me giggle.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells so good.
I was giggling all day yesterday. We actually just installed it yesterday. I was like,
I have to take my glasses off here.
Yeah. And I kept drinking it. It was like just blowing my mind with every sip.
Well, I imagine you guys you would have the tongue for it as well, right? Like you were used to drinking your product and then be like, now here's a new aspect to that you get to enjoy at home.
100%.
Or back in Victoria.
You know, like whether or not we have the palate for it or what have you, you know, obviously we're always learning, but
chat.
But the Yabukita by Fujioka is the tencha that we're using, but we also have the same matcha milled by the farmer, and the difference in flavor is striking.
Wow.
You know, his is already very good.
Yeah.
But this is just epic, like mind-blowing. Yeah, no, it's really exciting for us.
This has a very, very nice mouthfeel.
Doesn't it?
This isn't the sweetest one I've had. It's just so well balanced. It's so creamy.
You know, and there's still so more work that we can do. Like
Yeah.
what we're experimenting with next is we want to get into the finish firing process, and that's equivalent to roasting coffee. Farmers actually don't do the finish firing process. They bring it to almost a level that you could call par baked in the baguette world, and then you know how a bakery or a home eater would finish the baking process.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of what they call the ochayasan do in Japan. So the farmer sells to the co-op sells to the tea company, and the tea company finishes the process. It's about a whisper of heat, 3 minutes, 70 to 90 degrees centigrade, depending on the cultivar that they're working with.
Huh.
The machine looks a lot like a coffee roaster.
That's a lot like how a roastery would finish beans in a coffee house, where they'd
Exactly.
be like, but the beans have undergone an awful lot of chemical conversion that the farmer did, I'm guessing.
Exactly. So there's that part of it. And what we're noticing though, that the milling process itself is providing a little bit of heat, even though there's a water cooler here. Normally, this would not be possible to work with because on the traditional stone mills, it's 40 grams an hour.
Ah, yeah.
And so
It's a very slow process.
yeah, so 3.5 grams is a really it's unrealistic to have to produce. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. No. A little more. Power. Oh, okay. Guess that's the last one. No. Yeah, I gotta get an amp. It shuts off if it goes over 6 amps. It doesn't break the machine, but it's to keep the texture perfect. So it just means that we have it a little tight. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about heat and
Yes.
how finish firing the process. When you're milling, there's a little bit of heat that builds up, and we're finding that toasts it a bit, and we're finding out that just using this machine for the tencha leaves is making a difference in terms of adding that heat that we thought we would have to do in a tea roaster. So it's interesting. But this water cooler that you can't see on camera behind it is cooling it down. That's not normally there. That's a new thing. So this is kind of a space age mill. Yeah. So
If we'd be so kind as to, prepare this last one, and then I will introduce the lot that you've so generously donated.
awesome. Okay, we'll do. Okay. So who am I making this one for?
Who in the room would like one? Oh, Ashton. Oh, and Mike. Uh-oh.
You want to share it, Mike?
Well, if Jared and Jared want to hang out after, there might be the opportunity to have some more matcha afterwards.
Okay.
This is not your only chance.
That's right.
If there were 3 sips, I could have a sip.
There you go.
Any questions in the room? Anything you'd be curious while we're preparing this last one?
Can you overclock it like a water-cooled computer?
Can you overclock the are we
mill?
talking about the mill or the matcha?
The mill.
I think that's what we just did. Actually, I had it a little tight. I've been experimenting with trying to get it finer and finer, seeing how far we can push the limits of the machine, and we just found out just now. So.
When you say a little tight, do you mean how much is being ground?
The grind setting.
Setting.
It's at 3.6 right now. Probably I need to back off to 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, no,
It's very specific.
yeah, and that'll make a big difference. So.
With espresso, with extracting anything, the surface area you have will affect the flavor you have on the offside. So this is a new variable that he's never had the opportunity to play around with to get more flavor out of it or less flavor out of it, because you're already controlling the temperature, the amount, the water, the physical agitation. So now being able to play with something else is really neat.
Oh, so there is no set rule, because you're saying that, well, it's got to be down to like under 10 micron or whatever. And it's like you have the opportunity now to be like, you know what, there isn't like a, this has been established by Japanese fiat, that it's kind of like this has to be this way. It's like, you got some room to play, because everyone should be able to play like that to see what kind of product you can create.
Yes, I mean it would be hard to get this in every household.
Yes,
but there is that. If we're under 10 microns, then we have a threshold that we can wiggle around in, right? So what does 9.7 work with? I'm not analyzing it at that level, but I think that for the most part you're tasting it, and if it has the right texture, that was the big block for us. And once we pass the texture barrier, then we have a lot of room that we can enjoy. And I feel like this is similar to probably how somebody who was buying, say, coffee from a coffee producer and the whole time it was being roasted for them. And then they suddenly get to play around with what if they get the green beans and get to roast it themselves and then play around with those profiles. And then it feels similar to that somewhere, this whole like the toasting part that's happening in the unit and also the milling that's happening. So yeah, it's really fun that way, for sure.
I've also been told for a lot of the larger chains that bring in matcha for the matcha latte or something like that, they often have a much coarser grind so that they don't accidentally bring out the bitters in it. So it's something that the suppliers have done to sort of take some of the risk out.
Yeah, make it more user-friendly. But you get a lot more depth of flavor when you can get it to the correct texture, for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't better at all, and I'm a super baby about that.
Right? Like it's interesting, and I think a lot of the big problem. There's 3 barriers between you and a good matcha. One of them is purity, because there's sugar matcha out there. There's color and flavor enhancers that can be added. The second is going to be storage abuse, and that's a huge thing. Like a lot of matcha is just really old. You look at it, it has this old kind of pale green brownish, smells like old hay. And it gets that way in about 6 months of clipping open the seal. Even in fairly good protection, you start to smell those off notes. You lose the umami in about 3 months from the mill date, and it's not completely gone, but you can start to sense that disintegration. And a year later, it's a completely different color. So that's the second, and then the third is technique. So if you brew it too hot, it's gonna burn, and it's gonna be unpleasant, and it's gonna be bitter, and it's gonna But we do have a YouTube video. If you're interested in checking out, it's just how we make traditional matcha.
Nice.
And I can show you our opinion on it. Again, there's lots of different ways. It's not the way, it's just one way.
What's your
the name
YouTube
of the
channel?
channel?
Oh, yeah.
You're here, we're putting your name on screen.
Yeah,
You should
it's
definitely
Jagasilk. Yeah, so it's just the
YouTube.com/Jagasilk?
I actually don't know. Yeah.
Search for Jagasilk.
Yeah, search for Jagasilk. It's the Jagasilk YouTube channel. Yeah.
Well, if I may transition now, if we can maybe start packing this up, I will introduce the prize lot that you've donated, which is fantastic.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
We've got time while they do this as well.
How should I have my tea?
Ooh.
How should you have your tea?
That's such a big question, Beans.
I know, but when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
how should someone have their tea?
How should they have their tea? I think there's not the right answer to that question, but when I think about it, I think of what I shouldn't do. So maybe there's some things that I should stay away from. I think I should try to stay away from brewing in plastic. I should try and stay away from brewing in metal. I'm not a big brewing in metal fellow. I think that it draws out unintended acidity. I think brewing in glass or ceramic is ideal. I think weighing your water, weighing your tea, so you at least know what you're working with. Most of the time, if you're making, say, a crimson tea or black tea, you should be brewing 1 gram for every 60 mils as a starting point. So and then you want to be brewing anywhere from 80 to 100 degrees centigrade, depending on the origin that you bought it from.
Okay.
So if it's from the Assam Valley, boiling water. If it's from Darjeeling, and second flush, 90 degrees centigrade. If you're making a green tea, things are going to change again. Richer green teas, I suggest drinking smaller teapots. I use about maybe 3 to 6 ounces, or 90 to 180 milliliters of like that should be the teapot size.
Okay.
Don't restrict the leaves. They don't want to be in a tea bag or in one of those tea balls or in a cylinder or anything like that. You want them to have flow, where they spin with convection currents to properly extract flavor. It's called the agony of the leaves, is the poetic term, and you want to allow for that proper extraction. You don't want to restrict it. You're rehydrating a botanical.
Okay.
Yeah, so be careful with that temperature, amount of water, amount of tea.
But if I like sugar and milk in my tea, am I doing something wrong?
I don't think you're doing something wrong. I think that it's a way of having it. You can be. I think that you should search for fresh tea. I think that more often than not, sugar and milk is hiding flaws. So you're having it because you've over extracted, and so it's super acidic, and you want to cover that with sugar. Or it's really brackish and unpleasant, so you're covering it with milk. But you could do just a really strong infusion and cut it with milk, and that's fine. Just use more leaf and less water, and then maybe cut in some milk. That kind of idea,
Nice.
I think tastes great. Yeah, it's not. I think you should hold off on the sugar when you can. Just try and brew it to spec first, and then you'll notice that there's some inherent sweetness that's beautiful that you can focus in on and really enjoy the craftsmanship of what that particular farmer's put together.
It's like how people step down, like they put sugar and milk in coffee when they first start, and they gradually step down over time because they might want to enjoy the flavor of
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
It's a way to interact with it in the beginning, and then hopefully you can try some other ways of enjoying it. for sure.
Also, if you're used to milk and sugar, I found because I drink tea with milk and sugar all the time. So if you're switching from that to without it, give it a few attempts.
Yeah.
Because you need to get your palate used to that again.
Yeah.
I like just milk. It's perfect. It doesn't need the sugar.
I think I'm taking Beach for a tea tasting, not a coffee tasting.
It's one of the ways of doing it for sure is to do just milk. I like to limit the amount of ingredients that I'm adding. People, for example, in a matcha, when we first opened, we thought we're not going to do matcha lattes. That's
Not something
And
we're
that's
going to
so
offer.
many rules. But
Yeah.
you know, we realized we really enjoy matcha ice cream. And
Oh, yeah.
right, so we like it cold. Why don't we like it hot? How are we doing?
You all right, bud?
Okay. Okay.
That thing's
There we go.
50 kilos as a
That's
reminder.
Yeah, it looks a lot lighter than
How
it
much
actually
is
is.
50 kilos?
In pounds, 110 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what he was just lifting. Yeah. I was like, this year I need an assistant. JV is.
Well, if I may, let's start off your auction. Let's introduce the auction. So, I bet you a lot of people right now are curious about matcha and maybe want to know if they could start making it at home. Well, Jagasilk has very generously donated a matcha tea home starter kit. So what we have here is an assortment of things to get you started right. We have the blend is not right then. I'm sorry, I don't have a description here. Jared, could you tell me what's in the starter kit?
Sure. So we have a cedar box to house it that's made out of salvaged cedar and put together by a woodworker here in Victoria. We have a ceramic chasen naoshi that holds the chasen. So the chasen naoshi is the stand. The chasen is the bamboo whisk that's made by that awesome whisk artisan.
And sorry, this is a giveaway. If I said auction, I spoke erroneously. This is a giveaway. We'll send them out and multiple people can get in. Sorry. I didn't mean to say live auction, giveaway.
And then there's also a chawan, the bowl that's meant for making it traditionally. There's a chawan yuzamashi, so it's a bowl with a lip on it, so you can make shots and you can pour it into your latte cup and pour some steamed milk on it and make yourself a latte. There's a measuring spoon that we don't really use. It just kind of simplifies the process.
It helps.
It does. So you leveled off teaspoon, but weigh it on a scale, put it on the sieve that's there and push it through the sieve to break it up. And then you're going to put your temperature-controlled water on top. There's also not pictured here, but a scale that we're including in this giveaway.
So you get the box, the bowl. Does it come with the chasen?
Comes with the chasen.
Amazing. What matcha is going to come in there?
And we're gonna actually. So I have to go and replace the what are those things called? The fuse in my machine. But I'm gonna mill some fresh matcha. It's gonna be Yabukita by Fujioka.
That is super cool. And then somewhere between Beej and Jared, could you select a number? Is there a number of tea significance or Beej, a number that you've been hoping to use? And what this is going to be, it's going to be a number between $5 and $10. And everybody who submits that or multiples of that will enter one entry for a chance to win this amazing lot.
Okay.
Do you have anything in mind?
I always think in decimals in these situations.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine
That's
too.
good. We want
So you
some
can
random
you
sets.
give us the decimal and in Beej can set the dollar amount. What are you thinking, Jared?
0.7.
0.7.
Ooh.
7 sets.
Okay.
But with a number in front of it. I was going to say 6.7, but
That's actually really good. $6.70 could be a way to do that.
Sure.
Okay.
So $6.70 will be the entry amount for this and multiples thereof to win your very own matcha tea set to get you started at home. And then we're going to run this until 8 a.m. We're going to run this for just under an hour.
Nice.
I should mention maybe that it's $300 value if we were to sell.
Wow.
it. And,
Wow, thank you.
And we also have a coupon code on our website.
And I was gonna give you an opportunity right here. So where can people find you? You've got a YouTube channel. Do you have a website?
We have a website, www.jagasilk.com. And we have Desert Bus 2018 as a coupon code for 15% off.
Wow. So if you head to the web store and you want to bring some tea at home, Desert Bus 2018.
Yeah.
saves you 15%. Jared, thank you so much for stopping by. Actually, if you stand up for a second, Jared's one of the few people I have to tiptoe to hug. Jared's a tall man. Thank you so much.
Oh gosh.
Oh, let's take the mic there.
I'm going to pause
Yeah.
your...
Pause my.
Thanks for
There we go.
coming in, friend.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay,
tall
awesome.
are you?
Thank you guys. I'm 5'18".
Wait, I can't do math.
6'6". Thank you for coming in, friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Other Jared.
Take care, guys.
All right,
if
I will
you're-
meet you outside for
If
some
you are
stuff.
feeling particularly generous, you can donate $281,862.30. And if you do not win, then James will make some tea and pour it in an envelope and send it to you.
He sure will. Oh, Lordy, will he ever.
Make sure it's bubble wrap on.
All right, so just as a reminder, that is $6.70 or multiples thereof for an entry into the Jagasilk Matcha tea set, valued at $300.